So here I am walking around Rainbow. I'm using an Osmo camera and a Z-axis. First time I've used the Z-axis, and the object of the exercise with the Z-axis is to try and remove some of the, what can I call it, the imperfections I suppose that are in any video where you walk around with the camera. It's supposed to take the walking motion away from the video. You can be the judge as to how effective it is. Now I'm just walking past the service station, fuel supply, whatever you want to call it, in town. That's the RSL building over the road there. And as we come around into Federal Street, which is the main street of Rainbow, you can see the Rainbow, which is a fairly new or revamped addition to the main street. The previous addition that was there was quite faded, but this new one has very good colours in it that are supposed to last for a very long time. So I'm walking down the main street now. You can see the wide nature strip, if you like, in the middle of the street, and I'm coming up towards Pascoe's General Store. Now many of the buildings in Rainbow, or many of the commercial buildings in Rainbow, have wall murals on the side. We can't see too much of that one, but there is one there. And of course this is a very old general store, and the old signage on the side of it. Around to one of the hotels, the Bow Bakery next to it, and on the extreme left is the art gallery, which I think is having a grand opening today. So continuing to walk up Federal Street and walking past Pascoe's, have a look at the LED light up in the top right, and it's one of the, well, an original general store, and there's not very many of them left anymore. And up past what used to be a machinery dealer's, I think, or car dealership, and spinning back around. Now that, what can we call it, that cover in the middle of the street is a barbecue area. Now up past a rural supply business that has all sorts of things that farmers need. This is a big grain growing area in northwestern Victoria, southern Mallee if you like, and very close to a lot of desert reserves. The Eureka Hotel and Frew's Corner. Now Frew's Corner, next to that is the Commonwealth Bank, but my mate Mick uses his corner building there as his garage. Back up past a building that's built out of the local stone, as many of the old buildings in this main street are. I don't know what this building here was, the white building, but I assume the other one was a bank at some stage. The post office, which is also made out of local stone. Most of the small country, or most of the post office in general, have been franchised out now. Across the road to Ian's IGA, it apparently used to be Strauss's, but it's now Ian's, and the War Memorial there in the nature strip in the centre of the road. Now back up the main street, and I'll continue to keep walking. Now I believe I'm heading west. These shops here are vacant. Interestingly, in a small town, there's only about 600 people live here, but I think that most of the shops are occupied. We have a complex arrangement of lanes in Rainbow. and that was for the night man to go through and clean out the toilets before there was a sewerage system here in the town. Up past the regional shire office, or the local shire office, I guess, and back around into the main street again and the nature strip, looking across to what is a milk bar and the butcher's. And I'll keep walking up the street. Now this, I think, is the library, or what was the library. It's now the mobile library pulls up in front of it, but I don't think it functions as a library anymore. And the biggest business in town is the waste management business, Wimmera Waste. A whole series of waste compactors here on their corner property. They don't only operate in Rainbow, they operate throughout the Hindmarsh Shire and throughout other local government areas in Victoria, down as far as Portland, I believe. As I mentioned earlier, there are a lot of murals around town, and the railways formed a very important part in the early development of this area, and through probably until around the 80s or 90s, when most of the railway services were privatised, and at that point most grain started to be transferred from this area to ports via road rather than rail. But I'm led to believe that the rail is all being upgraded to a standard gauge which will allow the transfer of grain again by rail. A horse trough. Of course, these areas have been or were developed very early last century, and horses were the only means of transport, and I assume that's what the old railway station used to look like. No longer here. Across to Magic. I'm going to go across there because I can, and then I'll turn around and head back the other way in a moment. Magic has all sorts of giftware. I think they do patchwork and quilting and run classes in those things as well. As you can see, there are a lot of compactor trucks here, but as I said, not just for Rainbow. They operate throughout Victoria, or certainly throughout the western part of Victoria. Heading up towards the hardware store. Quite a comprehensive little town, and most services are available. A few more trucks over the road in the railway reserve, I assume. While I'm recording this, the video is stopping and starting quite a bit, but I don't know why that is, but I'm sure once it's rendered, that won't be a problem. So the hardware store, or the back of it, used to be a butter factory. Now, why on earth would you have a butter factory in a little town like this that's in a very dry area or part of the country? Apparently, most farmers in the early part of last century had a cow, and they used to bring the milk in and get it turned into butter at the butter factory. So walking on up past the hardware store, which has a sandblasting booth and a spray booth attached to it as part of the business. And this is the sandblasting booth that we're just walking past now. A beautiful home in Rainbow, Lou's Silo. Now I'm heading back into Bow Street and going past what was the old, what was the old primary school. The primary school and the secondary school have now combined on the one campus, and this is in the process of being transformed into an art precinct. And that's well advanced. So thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed my walk around Rainbow.